Hi, everybody. It's Maxine Taylor with another edition of Move into the Magic. And I know so many of you recognize the beautiful person next to me. Yes, it's Angelo Lowery. I know that many of you have contacted Angelo. And in fact, I'm going to give you her website. It's angelolowery.com. You've contacted her. She has done a healing session on you, and you have been blown out of the frame. I want to thank you all for calling and telling me about these amazing sessions that you've had with this amazing person. And if you are unfamiliar with Angelo, let me just give you a little background on her, because I want to turn the show over to her so she can share her success stories with her clients with you. Angelo is a naturally gifted healer. She is the real deal. She is the author of the Amazon #1 bestseller, I Am and the Spirit Walks with Me. And she owns the New Truth Healing Center in Scottsdale, Arizona, which is one of my favorite places on this planet. Angelo believes that we are all energetically connected, and I agree, and I know so many of you are nodding your head now because you're on the same page, and that the key to healing is already within us. I always say, I am a terrarium, and I like to see that terrarium taking care of itself. And because we have what we need within us, all we need to do is unlock it. So if you have an emotional situation, a mental, a spiritual, a physical, it doesn't matter. Angelo can help you with it. And so, Angelo, welcome once again to Move into the Magic.
Namaste, Maxine. Absolutely beautiful to connect with you again.
And I think since most of us tend to be somewhat klutzy, what comes to me is we really, especially in the summertime now when people are doing all kind of activities they don't do during the winter, and they're doing things they think they can do that maybe they can't. Let's talk about broken bones. Do you have a story you can share?
Absolutely. You know, so many beautiful stories that I can share with everyone. A lot of times people will ask me, you know, do you work on this? Do you work on that? And do you think you can help me with this or that? So I just want to make sure that everyone knows, you know, spirit is everywhere. So healing is not limited. It does not matter what you have. You know, it excites me when I have those that come to me who have actually been going through it, and they feel like there's no hope for them. And then they finally get to me and they realize there is hope. So I want to just make sure everyone knows that healing happens for all of us. You've just got to be ready for it, be open for it. And I am here willing to give it to you. I had a client that's actually, she was rollerblading, and she actually tumbled over and she fell on her hand and she broke 3 of her fingers. And so she was actually getting physical therapy for it. They took an x-ray of the entire arm area as well as the hand, just to make sure nothing else was actually broken. And they found that it was just the 3 fingers that were broken. Of course, she was sent for physical therapy, and they were working on, you know, trying to get the bones corrected for the 3 fingers. And so once I connected with her, you know, I wanted to know how often she goes for physical therapy, and she told me she goes twice a week. And she held her hands out to show it to me. She said, you know, my fingers are not straight. She said, you know, they're better. They're getting there. And so I began to actually work on that side of her body. And what I noticed was immediately was that they x-rayed the arm to make sure there were no more broken bones. And they had been focusing only on the 3 fingers. And this is the thing that I see all the time with people that come and they've gone to doctors, is that the focus was being given on those 3 fingers. However, the ability for her fingers to move, the flexion, it all affected her upper shoulder. Okay, so instead of working on those fingers, the physical therapist should have been working up to the top shoulder, because the center of the arm, the circulation had stopped and everything was working up here. We need to work and massage this area to get everything flowing back into the arms to reestablish connection with this lady's fingers. And so I'm standing there and I'm working on her arm. And then all of a sudden I told her, I said, hey, I said, she's like, wow, you're really hitting these spots here. And then I said, yeah, I've got a helper here with me that's helping me. And she says, tell me about your helper. She says, because you guys are sure kicking this thing's butt. She said, look at my hands. They're moving out and they're extended more. And so she noticed that everything was straightening out for her in her hands. And I said, you know what? This is common sense to me. You know, your fingers are broken. You bent your wrist. So it stopped the communication to the other parts of the arm. So we've got to establish the communication all the way down through the arms so that communication is taking place with the fingers. And so she noticed that she was able to flex those fingers, and that the tip of the fingers before had no feeling in them. So after I went through that process with her, she had feeling in every single finger. And her thing was, this is unbelievable. I can't believe that you just did this in one session and the physical therapist didn't do this. And I've been working with them for like 2 months now, you know? So definitely I say that when someone experiences, you know, a situation where the bones are actually broken, there has to be deeper healing that has to take place. You know, that's a trauma to the body. So instead of just focusing on the area where the bones are broken, we want to make sure that the communication is happening in every other parts of the body as well. That's crucially important, because the fingers that she had broken, that affects the brain. It affects her heart, the fingers that were broken. So, you know, if that communication is not established, this lady could start having issues with her brain, with her heart. So we have to make sure that we intervene and we're giving the proper healing to reestablish that connection so that she is whole and complete in body, mind, and spirit.
Awesome. Awesome. I love hearing these stories. They're so exciting. You bring hope, you bring health, you bring healing, you bring change. That's why I keep asking you back. Hear what you have to say. So there's another topic that I want to ask you about, and that is inflammation. And as an astrologer and a healer, I know that Mars, which is anger, passion, and many other things, is involved in inflammation. I mean, inflame, think of a flame. And any part of the body can become inflamed. I bet you've got at least one story about inflammation.
Oh, absolutely. Tons of them. And lately there's been a lot of cases revolving around inflammation. One in particular is a lot of times, you know, when we deal with inflammation in the body, people want to know, why is it that I have this inflammation in my body? And what I see is a high ratio of inflammation in the body where there's pain coming up for someone. And that is happening because at some point within your life, as you've progressed and moved on, you've actually stored up pain within your body in that particular area. And at some point, the ligaments, the muscles become restricted and they get inflamed because that release needs to happen and occur for you. And a lot of times we're not in tune enough with the body to realize that is where we've stored up pain and things we've gone through in life. It can simply be something where someone made you angry and you started just expressing your anger. Well, the words that are coming out of your mouth are backed by anger and not unconditional love. So that anger is being channeled and it's moving into your body. So, you expressed it verbally, but then it's being stored in the body, and we've got to release that somehow out of the body. Okay, that's why a lot of times people go through clearing. But what I find is that someone can go through clearing. And this lady is very spiritual. I mean, she does clearing, she does all types of things. But what she didn't realize was that it was actually, the pain was deeply stored in her body. And so this is what was amazing about that session, is that I'm working with her and I have her sit up, and she also had issues with the neck as well. So we're dealing with inflammation. She's also having these neck issues. So I'm going down the right side of her neck and I'm pressing these areas within the body where I'm feeling this restriction. And I told her, I said, you may feel like you want to just scream. You may even feel like there's words in you that are not so nice. You don't know where they're coming from, but you need to let it out. I said, let it go. This is about releasing. So just let it go when you feel it. And as I'm working from the neck all the way down, I get to the shoulder and I see that it's wrapping around the shoulder, down her side. She complained about the inflammation and a severe pain in her right side. So I get down in there and she goes, oh my God, that's where it is. And I said, this is where you actually have stored up all of your pain, your anger, hatred, being mistreated. It's all in there. And I said, we have got to keep working with this to release it. And so she had several outbursts where she screamed, and she could feel the release happening in those areas. Now, what came for her was that she goes, oh my God, Angelo, she said, do you know, my husband, every time I get angry, I put my hand on my hip right there and I'd point my finger and I'd yell and I'd say what I need to say. And I said, that is it. Every time you took your hand and you placed it on your hip, you were storing up that anger, that pain, the frustration. It was like a truck. You piled it up, and it's all sitting right there. And now you've reached a day where you're having that severe pain. I said, and when I'm releasing it, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. I said, you've got to let it out, because the hurt you feel is what other people felt when you were projecting this upon them, And I said, you had no idea you were storing this stuff up. And so she was really blown away at that. And she goes, oh my God, I've got to tell my husband, because he kept telling me I have got to stop pointing my finger and put my hands on my hip. She said, I was so sassy every time I would do this. And I said, yeah, now you're paying for it. I said, but you've worked through your life lessons. All is good. The time has come for you to release this. And so we can release it.
Oh, wow. I bet she felt like a different person.
Oh, absolutely. Having the revelation and understanding why it was there, because she was confusing it with something else that was going on in her body. And it was just a matter of releasing. So, a lot of times, the majority of the times, it's actually stored up for people in their neck. How many people do you know have neck issues with the head? It's because it's stored up in there. And they go into these places for physical therapy every week. They feel great when they leave. They have release, but then it comes back. Listen to your body, people. It's coming back because it's deeper. It is something that really needs to be addressed. And whoever you're working with at that moment, they don't understand it. They're doing the best that they know how. So I definitely recommend, for everyone, get in. See someone you may already know someone that does energy healing, get to them. It's important to release what we're carrying in our bodies.
Oh, it is. Absolutely. Oh, and releasing it on an emotional level, to me, is just vital, because that's where it originates. And of course, you do that naturally.
Absolutely. And if we don't release, it holds us back. You know how many people I get, they say, I'm not getting this in my life and I'm working so hard and I'm diligent and I'm doing everything that I need to do. And when they come to me, I'm able to just give them spiritually guided techniques on what they can do to change their life. I had a lady who, she was doing healing and she goes, Angelo, the healing was working fine. And all of a sudden it just stopped for me. What's going on? I connect with her and I'm going, hey, you've got darkness in there around you. Something's happened since I last talked to you because you got darkness in there. And come to find out, she had issues with her brother and she needed to resolve that. She had worked on it, but it was deeply embedded and hidden in her that it was still surfacing so much that it was affecting the healing work that she was trying to do. And I said, we have got to heal the remainder of what's going on with your brother. And she broke down emotionally and she said, hey, I thought I was past this. And I said, hey, it's a beautiful thing. I love to see your emotion because that means you're ready. You're ready to finally dump it and get rid of it, And then she let me know, Angelo, everything's fine now. I'm good. And she's like, the healing's working. I was like, okay, So definitely for all those who are doing healing work, keep in mind that it's just as important for us to make sure that we keep ourselves straight as well so that we can bring forth the light of healing for all those who are in need.
And I want to ask you about one final symptom. I call these symptoms of issues. I mean, when they're physical, they are physical symptoms of a deeper issue, the way I look at it. Our feet. The other day, I wore 4-inch heels, and I don't wear heels. I haven't worn heels in years, but it was an event, and I wore it, and I thought, what were you thinking? Because the next day, my feet said, what were you thinking? And of course, I had to, massage them and all this kind of stuff. Do you have any stories about healing feet?
Maxine, when it comes to the feet, ladies who wear heels, you automatically just go to, oh, it's those heels I've been wearing, and that's why my feet are the way that they are. Being in this world, we tend to latch on to the things that are said in the world versus going a little bit deeper to find out what's really going on. And so I had a young lady that was having issues with her feet. And of course, the mind automatically goes to shoes. And so what I found with her was that she was actually having a lot of pain, aches in the feet, because she was holding on to past life stuff that needed to be released from the feet. So we actually carry a lot of past life stuff in our feet. And so this was things that was there that was very traumatic for her. And so she had also reached that stage in her life where it was time to release and let that go. And so everything was held up in her big toe on both of the feet. And so once I brought healing into the body to release it, it released for her with ease. She talked about how she felt really relaxed in the feet. And she said, Angela, I noticed my feet were really kicking a lot. And I said, yeah, that's the release. Your toes were singing and dancing because it was finally getting the release that it needed. And so she noticed also that after having the session, there's no more issues with the feet, and so all is well with her. So absolutely, don't mistake the feet hurting, ladies, as being your shoes that you're actually wearing. A lot of times it's a lot more than that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I did learn my lesson. I'm not 27 anymore. Well, honey, thank you once again for being my guest. I love our conversations, and those of you who are ready for a magical session with Angelo Lowery, just contact her, angelolowery.com. And I'll be having her as a regular guest So she'll be sharing all kinds of wonderful stories with you. And next time, we'll talk about other parts of the body. Until then, remember that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Bye for now.